I love to use novelty fabrics when I'm making charity quilts, and I'm showing you some that I just got from an estate sale. They're really beautiful and really fun, and they have different sizes of motifs. And so I'm going to go through and show you these and how I'm going to make and cut kits for them using fabric that is from my stash. There'll be different kinds and several different ways that I do this, not just one way. With this one, I'm going to use both the frogs and the trees as the main ones, and then I'm showing you that I'll use the yellow and the red to go to the other sizes. This pattern is a Mary Johnson pattern. It's free online. We'll leave a link to the pattern in the description below. I like to get the quilt together and then put it in a pile. I know those 4 are the first quilt, and I'm just going to make a pile then cut them. I have 2 butterfly fabrics that aren't big enough for this pattern, so I'm going to use both as the big pieces, and then I got these, the purple and the really gorgeous one, to be the small pieces. I went to my stash every time. I'm not making you come, but for this one I couldn't decide on the light or the dark, and so I wanted to see them together, and I chose the dark. I just thought it looked richer and better. So I just stack them up because I'm going to cut all of these out today. I'm deciding if I want purple or yellow for the small piece in this pattern, and I decide purple. It just makes it stand out better to me. When I decide what I like the best, it's not that there's a right or a wrong, it's a preference, then I put it in the pile. Here for the lobsters, I'm just going to audition what I think will look good, and I really like it with this red. I think that will be fun. This one you could go so many ways, but I thought that bright teal that's just a little piece in there with this richer black brown would just set this color off wonderfully. I fold them together. Look how high our stack is getting. This is going to be the last kit we do with this pattern. There just isn't enough of the green. I'm going to have the carrots be the other part to get something that goes with both of them. I do the orange and the blue, and I think it's going to be way cute. So I'm showing here that I'm measuring to decide how many can I get? How many can I make into this pattern? It works if I can get 4. It works if I can get 3. It doesn't matter because I could do every other one because there's 5 total needed. And so it just depends on what I can do. I decide I can get 4 full ones, and then I just have that little scrap left. And that was good because when I opened the carrot, it had been previously cut by the previous owner. This was also fabric I bought from that estate sale. So I'm measuring and making sure I can get a big enough piece right from the middle. And I can. This carrot piece will go in the center of the pattern, which will balance it out really nicely. And as I fold up the kit, I put it in the center so that I can remember later that it's going to go in the center. And then I mix up the greens because I don't want the pattern to show and be cut like I just divided it up. I want it all mixed up. So 2 on top, 2 on bottom, and it's ready to go to be a kit. Now I cut the smaller pieces. They're 1.5 inch. When you get the free pattern, you'll know, but you need 10 of them. And so I'm getting them ready, and I divide them into 5s because they just fold nicer and stay nicer when I do this. And then that last piece, this is the same kit. I cut how many I need, and I get them ready, and I put them in the kit also. So everything is together with the big pieces surrounding the smaller pieces to make this pattern. I make this pattern a lot. It's really nice to show off fabric. And once I get it done, I can hold it, flip it around, move it, I fold it, and I make a stack of them. They're really self-contained. You don't even have to put them in a container if you're careful with them. If I can figure out which fabric I want to use for binding, I cut it when I cut the kit. Because if I get the binding ready and it's in my drawer, it's just so much faster and easier that I don't have to go find it again. Here's the next quilt. It works on all kinds of prints. This fun, bright fabric is going to be the smaller piece that goes around it. And then I have this gorgeous, rich, amazing fabric for the medium-sized piece. So as I cut these quilts, as I get them ready, as I fold them up, I just stack them against the wall and I do kit after kit. Some people don't understand why I'm happy sewing the same pattern together. This pattern especially, every time you make it, it looks different because of the fabric that you use. It's a completely different look and feeling. It is really quick to make. I have timed myself and I can choose the fabric, cut the fabric, sew the fabric all within an hour. I'm fast. Your time might be different than mine, but it's amazing that it goes together so fast and makes such a fabulous charity quilt. It's just one of my favorites. If the particular charity that I'm sewing for needs a lot of quilts, they are so happy when I make these. Plus, this quilt is long straight seams, and so I can make it when I'm so tired I can barely stand myself, because all I have to do is sew straight. With this one, we're going to be kind of tricky. So watch, because it's going to be fun. This has bigger motifs, and so I'm going to make sure that I'm not just cutting off heads and only having jungle to look at. I don't want to waste fabric, so I'm not being really careful, but I'm being careful enough that there's something to look at in the strips. So this one particularly, I'm just going to cut a piece off that I don't use because it will make the motifs fit better in the pattern as I make this quick strippie. But I'm going to have leftover fabric when I'm done. So I make the quick strippie, and then I have this big piece, and I think, okay, because this is such a big motif, it would be fun to do my own variation of the quick strippie. And I want to use up all this fabric. I don't want to put this back in my stash. I'm squaring it up, making it straight, and I'm figuring out how many inches it is. So depending on what size your piece of fabric is, this is the process I go to when I just make something up. I have it ready and it's there, and we will get back to it in a minute while I quickly cut up the regular quick strippie, put the pieces in, and then add what I want. Here I am starting the drawing for the one we're going to make up. So I'm going to have that big piece in the middle, then I'm going to use this gold to divide and have it be the smaller pieces, and then those two pieces on the end are going to be that piece that you see that is the in-between piece for the quick strippie. I know, complicated, but you watch and you'll figure it out. I make those smaller ones bigger than they were. I just think it'll balance it more because my strips are bigger. And then I get both bindings ready. I divide them up so I won't be confused later that there's two of them that are the same. Look how old this fabric is. I love it. So then I go back, I finish up the quick strippie, I fold it, I put it away, and now for the fun. We get to make up this kit. This is what I have left. I look how much it is. I decide if I divide that in half, what size pieces can I get? I do the math in there, and yes, this is going to work great for a strippie quilt, and it'll just have the 3 strips, a big giant one and then these 2 side ones with the gold changing them up. And as I get this ready, I realize it won't fit in there. It's too big of a piece, so I get my small little piece, I redraw my map of what I plan to do so that when I open this in 4 months, when I'm going to sew it together, and this one will sew together so fast, I'll know just what I was thinking when I cut it up. We're going to shortly start cutting up different kinds of kits than the quick strippie, but this quick strippie here is really different. We're going to do 3 of the black and 2 of the whites, and we'll just vary it back and forth. What I'm really trying to do is use up this fabric. Sometimes you just have a little novelty fabric and you're like, what am I going to do with this? And this is a great way to use it up. People are always asking me what kind of blades I use. This whole time I always tell you what I love best. I use titanium blades. I have used them for a year now. This time it is an affiliate. We have partnered with Fabric Cut. They have different kinds of blades for different kinds of cutters. They last longer than any other blade I've ever used, and so they're worth the money to buy them because they just work better, last longer, and I love them. You just have to make sure you get the right kind. If you follow our affiliate link below, we will get credit for sending you, and they really do have such amazing blades. So if you like us and want us to have credit, please follow our affiliate link below and go find the kind of blades I use, which are the titanium blades. The Froggies and Trees are our last quick strippie. I have this bucket, and I decided I'm going to put all the kits in the bucket. So you're watching me decide how they fit, and I get to fill the other half of the bucket with different kinds of kits. This is the drawer I put all my bindings in. When I have a bunch of quilts waiting for me to quilt them, this is where I store my bindings. So while you weren't looking, I went and chose fabric to make Trip Around the World. I love making Trip Around the World quilts. It just is a great way to play with color. It's a great way to practice fabric. And if you have fabric you want to use up, choose it first and then find friends to go with it. I chose one fabric, one novelty, and then I built fabrics and colors to go around it. The pattern I use calls for 3 strips of 9. That's what I'm doing here, and I'm cutting 2 kits at a time. Whenever I'm doing kits, it's just faster to cut a couple because I already have the fabrics out and it just goes so quickly as I do this. This green, you can see I didn't have enough of the one, so I went and found a substitute. So one will have one green and one will have the other, but they'll still trip really similar because they feel similar as you look at them. Anytime I don't have enough of one fabric when I'm making 2 kits, I simply find a substitute. If you need help knowing how to pick out colors or do whatever, we have a couple of videos you can watch, but this particular video is about cutting kits. I like to get them all the way ready, line them up, so I'm just putting them maybe less than half an inch beside each other. This one I had to make another substitute. And then I'm going to show you how I roll them up and protect them so that they will be ready to be safe and wait until I'm ready to sew them together. Oftentimes I will have people that are doing charity work and just want to sew a quilt top, and they'll take one of these kits and sew a quilt top. Or I might have a friend come over and we might both make the same quilt at the same time. There's so many uses for these and they're so fun to make. I roll them up like this and then I just put them inside of a gallon Ziploc bag, and it will fit two really comfortably side by side. After I've rolled them up and I put them in there, they're protected so that the edges don't fray and nothing bad happens to them until I'm ready to just take them out and sew them together. When I cut kits all at once like this, I love that I can do them in multiples. So here's 2 more trips ready to go, but notice I've left the fabric out. These are fabrics from those trips and they go together so well, I want to use up some of this fabric. There's just a little bit left. So again, I'm going to make my very own patterns up, kind of with the idea of strippies in mind. And I do just like I showed you before, except with different amounts and different fabrics. I get out this paper that's going to fit in it instead of the big cardstock I had before, and I write on it. And I draw up the pattern. And as I make the pattern, I'm measuring as I go because the place I donate to has specific sizes they like. I'm making sure it falls within that range. I lay it out and I love how it looks. This is just one of the ways you can make up your own patterns as you do strippies if you're just trying to use up the fabric that you have. You find the friends of fabric that go together and then you make your own strippie pattern and tuck it inside. They sew together so fast and they're so fun and they're so pretty and creative. I always do that if there's just a little bit left over. 2 more trip around the world quilts and 1 more quilt where I just make it up to use up extra fabric. That one, I didn't feel like it would stay together, so I put it in a Ziploc bag to keep it comfy and cozy until I'm ready to sew it. And all in all, in 1 hour and 20 minutes, we timed ourselves, we cut out 16 baby quilts that are ready to go at a moment's notice. When I'm too tired to cut, I can always sew. I love being prepared. I hope you decide that it might be fun to cut out some kits. Stay merry and creative.